Anyone who's ever been on the streets knows, if you see a picture of Jesus on your food, you can't eat it. That day, the boy had been starving on the street all day. Suddenly, he saw a piece of toast in a garbage can that no one wanted. Just as he was about to eat the food he had found, a man came to stop him. He told the boy that this was the food that Jesus had given to the people, and that it would be a shame to eat it. So the boy threw the bread away, leaving it for the so-called believers to worship. Before the boy could walk away, a clerk pushed open the door in a rage. The next thing he knew, he was throwing freshly made pizza on the floor. The boy was thrilled. It was a gift from heaven. But then he walked over and realized there was a picture of Jesus on the pizza. He thought that others would be saddened by it. The boy left the pizza for the believers to worship. As he walked down the street, he found an empty bottle. He thought he'd catch some sewage to fill his stomach. But when he looked down, he realized not only did he have nothing to eat or drink, but he was also being educated by a policeman on patrol. For the crime of stealing, the boy had to pour out the holy water given by Jesus. By this time, the streets that used to belong to the homeless were full of believers. They were fed, clothed, and pursuing spirituality. But the boy was so hungry he didn't know what to do. Then a bill came out of the sky. The boy happily bought a hamburger with the money he found. When he was about to eat it, suddenly, he noticed the words of Jesus' salvation written on the burger. So he opened the bun with curiosity. Inside, there was a patty with a picture of Jesus on it. The boy was starving. With or without Jesus. He took advantage of the fact that no one was around. He ate the burger right away. But the next moment the ground shook. A man appeared out of nowhere under the boy's ass. He took the boy in his hands. Since you ate me, I'll eat you too. The man split the brand new TV screen in half. The original price of the TV was $2,999, so it was half price. But the man still thinks it's too expensive, so he kept kicking and punching the broken screen. Finally, he created a 5-inch screen. And the customer was tempted to buy.
Can you cut a 10? Cut it!
It turns out that the man is the strongest salesman in the universe. He is very fond of cutting in half. When he divorced his ex-wife, the court ruled that the man had to give half of his property to the other party. So in front of his lawyer and ex-wife, in front of the lawyer and his ex-wife, he cut a thick banknote in half on the spot. From then on, the man vowed to fulfill other people's desire to take advantage. Whenever you want a discount, he'll cut the item in half. Whether it's computers, nunchucks, or eyeglasses, even a perfectly good basketball can be turned into a half-price item.
How about your kids? Cut it in half!
For any reason, any place, any situation, a man can cut it in half. An atom under a microscope. A man can reach out and slice it in half.
Power! I'll cut it!
Who knew this would shake up the world of physics? Not only are atoms cut in half, even objects on Earth were split in half. And that's just the beginning. The man's palm split the entire Earth, the entire galaxy, including the entire universe in half. The primitive man accidentally found a pair of modern glasses, so he used the refraction of the sun to make the first fire. And all this is the work of a modern scientist. He wanted to invent a teleportation device that could move instantly. He's been working on it for decades. It's time to test the results. The scientist got a hammer and put it on a conveyor plate. And then he pushed the button. But the hammer didn't go to the other disc as expected. While the scientist was puzzled, in a tribe of primitive people 40,000 years ago, a man had just hunted a mammoth. Suddenly there was a flash of blue light. It's the hammer that the scientist just threw. The man picked it up and looked at it with curiosity. At this moment, another primitive man came to him. He wants to eat some mammoth, so the man subconsciously repelled it. But he didn't realize that the hammer in his hand was very effective in hitting people. On the other hand, the scientist is still improving the machine. He's prying open the inside of the conveyor belt. Wondering why things aren't moving as they should. Suddenly, his glasses fall off. And that's how the man found them again. And that's how he invented fire. But the scientist on the other side wasn't so happy. The wrench he threw away in anger. He threw it away in anger and transported it to the man's hand. And that's how he tightened the nut. The first primitive car was born. And the scientist is completely mad. He didn't know what was wrong with the machine. So in a fit of rage, he throws all the books he's been using for research onto the conveyor belt. And so the modern civilization outside the room was catapulted thousands of years into the future. When he's almost out of books, the scientist remembers the Bible he used as a cushion for his desk. After throwing all the books, the scientist was disheartened. The teleportation device he'd been working on for decades was still a failure. He crumpled up his last design and threw it into the machine. But to his surprise, a primitive man was teleported to him. The man and the scientist exchanged glances. Then Big Zhuang took out the hammer from earlier. He knocked the scientist unconscious and put on his own clothes and glasses. He disguised himself as the scientist and replaced him. That's how their identities were completely swapped. The scientist collapsed in the primitive forest and the man renamed the teleportation device as a time machine. The discovery was a global sensation. People used the time machine to travel back in time. Right in front of the dinosaurs. People took out their cameras and took pictures. Since then, the Jurassic dinosaurs have become a new internet sensation.